Hi, this is Chef Megums. Thank you for watching Satisfaction in the Kitchen. Today we're going to be making a tomato bisque and a side salad to start off the new year right with some good food.
For ingredients, you'll need some tomatoes, some chicken stock, some spinach, onion, carrots, garlic cloves, a large can of crushed tomatoes, and 2 small cans of diced tomatoes, and some seasonings.
Okay, so I chopped everything up, put some coconut oil in the pot, and now we're going to add some chopped up onion. Might have been nice if it was sizzling a little bit more, but it'll sizzle. So anyway, you want to cook the onion in the oil. You don't have to use coconut oil. You can use olive oil. You can use vegetable oil. You can use butter.
Now our onions are sizzling nicely and not browning, which is very important. You don't want them to brown. And now we're going to take our garlic and add our garlic now, because if we added it too soon, then it would burn. And we don't want that. So we just want the garlic to give off a little flavor before we add our flour for the roux. Now we'll add our flour for the roux, and you want to stir this constantly for about 2 minutes before we add our liquids. Once the roux is ready, we can start adding our liquids, starting with the chicken stock, followed by our large can of crushed tomatoes, and also our 2 cans of diced tomatoes. I use the ones with the chili peppers because I like mine to be a little spicy, but you can use regular diced tomatoes. You'll want to stir this, and then you want to bring it to a boil before we add any of the other ingredients. Now that it's come to a boil, we're going to start to add our vegetables. I added some carrots first that I diced up for some flavor and for some vitamins. And here's some tomatoes that I chopped up, since it is tomato bisque and I do like to have that tomatoey flavor. And now I'm going to add some spinach. And I know it's kind of strange to add spinach, but we're going to be immersion blending this, so it's all going to get blended together and it's going to look nice and it's going to be very healthy and good. Now that all of that is in there, we can give it a good stir before we add our seasonings. To season, we're going to add a pinch of salt. I like to use kosher salt, and also a couple shakes of ground black pepper. Next, I'm going to add some Italian seasoning, and for a spicy kick, some cayenne pepper as well. Now that you have everything in the pot, it's time to give it a good stir, bring it back up to a boil, and simmer it for 30 minutes. While we're waiting for our soup to cook, now would be a great time to get our vegetables prepped and ready for our side salad, but with one other ingredient as well: bacon bits. Instead of shaking them directly out of a can, what I do is I take about ½ pound of bacon and I cut it into little strips, little pieces with kitchen shears, because I like that better than chopping it with a knife. It makes it a lot easier to handle. And you cut it into little pieces so that when you fry them up, they become nice and little bits. Once you have all of your bacon cut up, just go ahead and put it into a large skillet. I like to use a cast iron skillet because not only does it slick up the pan while it's cooking, so it's good for the skillet itself, but it gives it a really nice flavor.
Oh yeah, cook that little piggy. Oh, yeah.
That was my daughter. She really likes bacon bits. Anyway, once they're completely done and nice and crispy, just go ahead and get yourself a spoon and then scoop them out onto paper towel lined plate or bowl so that all the fat can drain off, and you'll have nice bacon bits. Now let's make our dressing. First, I'm going to take about 1/4 cup or so of extra virgin olive oil, and then to that I'm going to add about a tablespoon or so of apple cider vinegar. Next, I'm going to add in about a pinch of salt and just a little bit of ground black pepper. Now just whisk that around for a few seconds or so until it emulsifies and becomes a nice little dressing. Now you can plate up your salad with all of your nice yummy veggies and your bacon bits, and go ahead and drizzle on some of that lovely dressing that we made before, and there you go, you have your salad portion of the entree. Doesn't that look good? Now let's get back to our soup that has been simmering for about half an hour, and just give it a quick stir, adjust the seasonings if you need to, and then it's time to have some fun with it. I'm going to use my immersion blender here to make our soup nice and smooth. If you don't have one, you can always just use a normal blender. Just make sure you cool down the soup before you stick it in. And just make sure you blend it until it's nice and smooth. Once you think it's smooth enough, just go ahead and grab a spoon and give it a nice stir around to make sure that there's no more chunks. And as you can see, I ended up getting a leaf in mine from the spinach. I like my tomato bisque to be nice and smooth, so I had to blend it for about another half a minute. If you like yours to be on the chunky side, you could always add some diced up tomatoes or some basil leaves or some onions or whatever kind of chunks that you like to leave in your tomato bisque. So now that it's all blended up, we're going to give it another stir just to make sure that everything is to our liking. I transferred some of the soup into a smaller pot because I'm only serving 3 tonight and I wanted to save the rest of the bisque for leftovers. So I poured in about a 1/4 cup of half and half. If you don't want to use half and half, you can always use cream or you can use milk. Just make sure you add it at the very end and try not to boil it because we don't want it to be boiled milk. We just want to heat it through, and then you're ready to serve. And there we have our healthy New Year's meal, a tomato bisque and a side salad. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Bye!